Grooving here at Depot Village. This is where Ed Belarski is having his watch party. And if you don't remember who he is the former manager of the Gainesville Regional Utilities Company, and he announced his candidacy after he was fired at a commissioners meeting back in January. Now he's running against one of the commissioners, Harvey Ward, in this mayoral election, and he is expecting to win, he's hoping to win, but it's too early to tell for now. Here at the International Festival, there are a ton of food for people to try, such as food from the Ivory Coast and Senegal, where I heard the original jollof rice is from. As you can see, the storefronts of Cedar Key are already boarding up and preparing for Ian's arrival. Even City Hall is protecting its building by putting up these steel bars up against its windows. And Levy County Commissioners also posted this emergency declaration. This is a special needs shelter for those with special needs and their caregivers. And despite protests, public comments, and people voicing their opinions about the selection process, the Board of Trustees did just confirm Benjamin Sass as the University of Florida's 13th president. Now people are wondering, what comes next? And as of today, 180,564 people are registered to vote here in Alachua County. And I'm here at the Santa Fe College that partnered with many local organizations to get locals registered to vote. Ramadan began Wednesday night and runs until April 20th or 21st. It depends on the moon because the Islamic calendar is lunar based, which is also why it shifts 11 days earlier every year. If you're interested in participating at this year's Fastathon, you can join my Muslim brothers and sisters at the O'Connell Center at 6 p.m. on April 6th. Awakaba and Aisa moved to Gainesville decades ago from the coast of West Africa. It's here at the Gainesville International Fair and longest table that they most remember home.
It's a good idea from the city to do this kind of event where everybody from anywhere can meet and talk, exchange, and learn. That's really important here in Gainesville, I think.
The fair showcases cultures as presented by members of the community to make people from all over the world feel welcomed. Akila Kudus serves as a board member of Welcoming Gainesville and is the director of a local charity organization.
This energy is all love. I don't know when people talk about difficulties at this time, I look at this love and I'm like, everything can be taken care of because there is more love than difficult. And difficulty is always there for everybody.
She immigrated from India over 50 years ago with her husband. She craves community.
Oh, it's so important to have a community. When I came here, I found friendship in the community. By the grace of God, I have a beautiful family and I have my family, extended family, but you still need your community.
Over 30 vendors participated at the festival held at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Center. Local attendees, whose origins are from places all around the world, like Thailand, France, and Brazil, gathered over authentic dishes and cultural performances. Here at the International Festival, there are a ton of food for people to try, such as food from the Ivory Coast and Senegal, where I heard the original jollof rice is from. And a few people came from out of town, like Pakistani food vendor Sizzler Tandoori traveled from Orlando, along with Anastasia and Igor, who traveled from Novorossiysk, Gainesville's Soviet sister city.
And I like the city very much. I have very many friends.
Bangladeshi immigrant Srishti Das Gupta performed a classical dance for the crowd.
I want to share this with my friend that please meet your culture to others, yes, and share it, yes, over the world, yes.
Members of this event believe what is most essential to a diverse community that stresses inclusivity and unity is sharing one's culture. Fareeha Abrar, WUFT News. The biggest topic coming out of City Hall right now is about zoning. As you mentioned earlier, Gainesville is the first city in the state to approve this new change, despite a large public opposition. I spoke with many neighbors in these zones who lived there for many decades about this new change, and they shared their thoughts with me.
It's heartbreaking because I was able to see my grandparents that were brought here and built these houses.
Like many of her neighbors, Yvette is upset about the Gainesville City Commissioner's vote to approve the elimination of single-family zones. The woman who didn't want to be identified has lived her whole life in the Porter's Quarters community.
It hurts me because my grandkids in maybe 20 years, they not even gonna know, but their children not gonna know where they come from.
Her father died in the home at 104 years old. He'd lived there since he was 12. Her family created their legacy here. That makes them even more apprehensive to leave.
My daddy died, and I know that he would be hurtful to see what has gone on over here.
Gainesville resident Debbie Mallickson believes the elected officials made a hasty decision.
They want to make Gainesville the first, and I'm not sure that they added the best.
Mayor Lauren Poe has talked about how the city's housing crisis has policies rooted in racial segregation. But members and neighbors from these communities tell me that they don't want to leave the homes that they've lived in for decades. They tell me that they're concerned about gentrification.
I think that they are not necessarily aware of what they voted for and the possibilities that exist.
How does that make you feel?
I'm going to vote.
Don't tell us no lie about what you're doing.
Yvette doesn't have a problem with additional affordable housing. It's the approach.
Every time you turn around, they send in letters. They want to buy, they want to buy, they want to buy, and it gets so aggravating. I mean, you already coming.
But the neighbors are just as persistent.
I mean, it ain't like we just gonna give up, because we would never do that, because it's our neighborhood, and it's a nice neighborhood to live in.
Now, many neighbors complained that they didn't feel like they were heard at yesterday's commissioners' meeting. Some even complained that they didn't feel like they were heard because it was intentionally inconvenient for them to be scheduling a meeting at 3 p.m. in the afternoon during the middle of a workday. And we have to bring up spooky season before we go. A pumpkin named Maverick broke national records and has claimed the title of the Great Pumpkin. You know, and I'm glad that temperatures have warmed up from the beginning of this week. I was about to start searching for some snowman blueprints.
Me too, Fareeha.
WUFT's Sean Humphrey spent much of his day reviewing the footage and the facts of the case. He joins us now in the studio. Sean? Jamisha, have you decided your Thanksgiving plans yet?
I'm just heading back to Jack's to see my family. What about you?
I'm probably also going back to Jack's to see my family. And Julia, who's also from the 904, will be back later with more on what weather we all can expect. Okay, so Chris, the question I have now is, how can we protect ourselves from this type of thing? The Gainesville Police Department is disciplining 5 officers after concluding an internal affairs investigation related to improper behavior following the arrest of Terrell Bradley. Reporting from North Gainesville, reporting from Santa Fe College, reporting from downtown Gainesville, I'm Fareeha Abrar. Fareeha Abrar for WUFT News.